On the 17th of August, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law the Local Government Municipal Systems Amendment Bill. Amongst its provisions is the prohibition for municipal managers and senior managers from holding political office. The National Assembly passed the bill in December 2020. We're joined now by the Deputy Minister in the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Thembi Nkadimeng. Deputy Minister, thank you so much for making the time this morning.
Good morning, Desiree. Good morning to your viewers.
You've been a mayor, you've been the head of SALGA, and now the Deputy Minister in Cooperative Governance. So you appreciate how far this process has come. Is it a good development?
Well, Desiree, it is a good development. True, I'm the ancestor of some sort here. I hope there could be change which is equal to the time I've served in the sphere of local government. At a rapid pace, our communities need service delivery. We are dealing with the nuts and bolts of what derailed and defocuses service delivery as you know it in our areas of residence and communities. We started in 2011. We got our procedures wrong. The Constitutional Court threw the process out of court. We reviewed and refreshed. We followed the steps to the latter to deal with the key issues. But let me just zoom into the example that you are making, because the amendment touches a gross lot of things. I think there are 13 in total, from capacity building, remuneration, performance management, but also the one you have made an example of barring of municipal managers reporting to them and below to be involved or to hold a current political office while they are municipal employees. It will take us into a right direction. A history and record of the 21 years of local government has shown that this is one of the impediments to service delivery. You will recall, Desiree, that local government is right at the core face of the people. So whatever you have in communities manifest itself in municipalities. We have got political parties in communities, we have got religious leaders in communities, we have got civil society in communities. That is why, by law, municipalities are forced to integrate with such stakeholders to form a coalition of some sort to be able to implement and deliver change that is necessary. But we have seen where the other hand becomes much bigger than the administrative head, and it becomes problematic with regards to the fair running of municipalities.
Deputy Minister, I hear what you're saying, that there's many other provisions, but we harp on this one because it has been a national conversation, even going up to the State Capture Commission. Does this mean we're seeing the end of political deployments to local government?
Well, Desiree, remember, by its very own nature, elections to council, particularly at the political level or at political oversight, it's public representative. They're elected through elections. But in this instance, we're talking to staff who are regulating administrative level, where an administrative play a line to a political line, and it affects oversight to a certain extent. Remember, public representative who you voted for on the 1st of November, you openly went and chose who must represent you in that ward, and subsequently that person has a chance by law to be a mayor or a speaker or a member of the mayoral committee, but you chose that person. Administratively, we are professionalizing the sector. We had the element ugly of deployment of people in most instances who don't even qualify for the positions that they're at. But we also had people who qualify, who will also be political leaders of certain parties, but working in municipalities and giving wrong instructions to administration to pursue, which are more political than administrative, or which are more not necessarily serving the services that needs to be delivered to the people of South Africa.
We're fortunate this morning because you're both an administrator and a political animal. And one of the foremost leaders of your political party yesterday, former President Kgalema Motlanthe, was talking about provisions for people who will run for office in the next conference, the 55th conference coming up in December. And he kept emphasizing the need for quality people to come into offices of leadership. Will this development at a local level help somewhat in that regard, so that even if it's a political deployment, it's somebody who qualifies, who's capable and has the skills?
It shouldn't be somewhat, because the Act itself provides, amongst other things, for the competency development of municipalities, the administrators themselves, who need to write the competency test, pass them to fit administratively in the job that they are supposed to do. Now, it shouldn't be somewhat. We need to apply it to the latter. On top of that, the amendment gives the powers to the minister to put regulations, of which she has already started in key areas in around February, March, on how the processes for the filling of positions, amongst other things, need to be entertained, right up to cascading to informing the MEC after 14 days the council is appointed, and the minister will also have a say in case things have not gone right. So this is not a choice, it is mandatory.
So let me ask you this, Deputy Minister, when does the Act kick into action? I'm thinking here that South Africa has the Labour Relations Act, and if you already have a person in the position, what then? Who is not necessarily qualified?
The amendment provides for that. Yes, I'm sorry for interjecting. The amendment provides for that. It gives the bearer, the administrative bearer, who currently today is sitting possibly in a political office, 12 months to hand over vacate. That is maximum. So you can do it in a week, you can do it in a month, but in 12 months, you must have vacated those offices. And council will have to take action if you don't do that as their employer in the municipality where you are serving.
And from a human resources point of view, has the department been communicating with municipal managers just in terms of future possibilities of being out of work?
Remember, when you develop key of the stakeholders, and I think he's also here, is South African Local Government Association, which one amongst other things advocates but also look into the interest and the welfare both of councillors and of employees. But mandatory, when you are bringing an amendment, SAMO will have to be brought in place, IMADU will have to be brought in place, and these are key unions in the local government sphere to make their inputs into the Act. And those are not the only stakeholders, professional bodies, academia, etc., to shape the Act. And that has passed. Remember, the 2011 lesson we learned was more procedural, not on the issues. Some of the steps were not followed to the latter, and it was challenged by some, and they won the constitutional process that we must revert back to the consultation table before the Act could pass. As you correctly say, it sat at the table of the president for almost 18 months with the state attorneys pinning in a line by line after the National Assembly had passed it in December 2020. So we're confident that process-wise, we should be able to deliver successfully at municipal level, which will then in turn benefit municipalities and our communities.
Please outline for us the strategy at COGTA for implementing this Act.
Well, it doesn't have to be a strategy per se, it's the legislation itself. The legislation is very clear. The Municipal System Act itself dictates step by step what needs to be done. But over that, when the Act, for example, says after 14 days, a municipality has appointed a municipal manager, Section 56 and 57, which are directors or executive directors, directly reporting to the municipal manager. In 14 days, the MEC of COCTA in a province must be informed in writing. Qualifications sent to the MEC, the competency test results sent, the police inquiry to check if you have criminal activities sent, etc. And the MEC will quality control that process. If there is a dispute between the municipality and then the MEC can cascade the matter into the minister. So we have got processes and systems which sit on a monthly, quarterly basis, which involves provincial treasuries, provincial COCTAs, national treasury, national COCTA, and municipalities themselves. We call them premier mayors forums, where municipal managers come on a monthly basis to a quarter basis to report not only about appointments, but also about their financial obligations, their service delivery obligations, and some of the obligations that municipalities have. So the system is enacted itself. That is why it allows the minister to put the regulations and put the upper limits for us to control and oversee. I think the greatest challenge and a test for all of us, including COCTA, will be to deal with violations which are deliberate in some instances by council. They are advised, Thembi does not meet the requirements, but they still continue. We need to hold those councils accountable.
Deputy Minister Nkadimeng, thank you so much for your time this morning. We're talking there to the Deputy Minister in the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Ministry, Thembi Nkadimeng, about gazetting the presidency, saying it is hereby notified that the President has assented to the following Act, which is hereby published for general information, Act number 3 of 2022 Local Government Municipal Systems Amendment Act. And in a bit, we will be also talking to, in fact, we're trying to reach out to the South African Municipal Workers Union, which, as you heard the Minister saying, were the ones who went to the Constitutional Court to challenge the enactment of this act. And we're trying to reach out to them to find out how they feel about this development, that on the 17th of August, President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law the Local Government Municipal Systems Amendment Bill. Amongst its provisions is the prohibition of the municipal manager and senior managers from holding political office. And the National Assembly passed the bill in December 2020. Lance Jewell is the acting CEO at the South African Local Government Association. A very good morning to you, Lance, and thanks for making the time to speak to us today.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
I stand to be corrected, but are you part of the implementing agencies for this act?
Well, firstly, we are the SALGA, a representative voice of municipalities. So one of our core responsibilities is to represent the best interest of municipalities. And during the processing of this particular amendment act now, we were at the forefront of advancing issues that we felt quite strongly should find its way into the bill, and now it ultimately made its way into the act. So we are a representative voice, and once the acts are promulgated, we will then ensure that there's heightened awareness within our municipalities around its implications, but also that there's implementation of the relevant provisions of the legislation.
Give us a sense of the sentiment amongst your members, just in terms of this development. Are they encouraged? Are there still issues that need to be ironed out? And if so, what are those?
Well, on the subject matter that you are pointing to, this is a matter that was brought to the table by the South African Local Government Association on behalf of municipalities, and it's informed by a number of challenges that have emerged in municipalities where there's no clear separation between the political arm in a municipality and the administrative arm, and the blurring of the line between the two. So we were at the forefront to not only advocate the reinstatement of the limitation on political rights, but also the extension of that limitation to be inclusive of all municipal staff. And so we are hoping, because the act has just been promulgated, and we will still go on the path of increasing awareness around its implementation. It is still early days, but certainly it addresses that bigger problem around blurring of the lines between the political and administrative arm in a municipality.
Tell us how you, I'm sure you've had lots of conversations around this, that substitution of definition of municipal manager and the substitution of definition of political person. What conversations took place here? How do you delineate?
Well, I think the two are related when you look at them closely. But essentially, if I could just unpack for you, of course, in a democracy, we have political parties that go to the elections and making certain promises with the hope that the elections will give them a result where they could govern. So political parties themselves must be separated from the state itself, because political parties will then deploy individuals to the state to act on their behalf and execute the promises that they have made to the electorate. But at the municipal level, we need to take it further, because in a municipality, like in a national and as well as a provincial government department, there are political leaders. In our context, it's councillors. And then there are administrators. In our context, it's an administration led by a municipal manager supported by a team of senior managers. So there's a clear separation between the political arm led by council and the administrative arm led by a municipal manager.
So Lance,
what we have seen linked to the point that I've made.
So Lance, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, how does the Act then recognize that person who campaigned and on certain promises and won, and the person who now steps into office to administer? How does it separate the two?
Well, they are clearly separate, because those that administer, meaning those that implement the policy directives from those that are elected, are quite separate. Councillors who are elected based on a party ticket are giving the policy directions within municipalities. The municipal manager leading a team of municipal staff are the implementers. So they're quite separate. And what this particular legislation does, it reinforces that separation by then stating that you cannot hold political office and at the same time be a municipal staff member, so that you clearly separate the political arm from the administrative arm, because practice has shown us that where we have not made that distinction, the water becomes very muddy. Municipal staff members that have and hold political office mingle into the political arm in a municipality and influence the political in the municipality. So they're quite separate, and that's a difficulty that we've had in the past, is we did not keep them separate.
So Lance, I know we will see the effects of this act in years to come, but just from a SALGA point of view, what is the significance of this enactment?
Well, firstly, because we have advanced this position for years, we welcome this now in the legislation and its application to all staff members. We strongly believe that it will bring stability in the administration, but also it will advance the delivery of services so that people in the administration could focus on the delivery of services and steer away from the focus on the politics. Allow the councillors and the political parties to give that political direction, but as the staff, let's focus on the task at hand, which is the delivery of services to communities. So that is what it will bring, that positivity around the execution of services to our communities. And we are quite excited about that.
I know we're highlighting the issue of the separation of politics and work, but what are the other elements of the Act that are important?
Well, essentially, the Act is really a cut and paste with some slight amendments of the 2011 Act. And what the intention was back in 2011, which is reaffirmed by this Act, is really to introduce professionalism, but also clarify, quite importantly, issues around ensuring that appropriately skilled, qualified, and experienced individuals are attracted and appointed in our municipalities. So that's for us a big part of this Amendment Act. Yes, it was introduced in 2011, but after it was nullified by the Constitutional Court, we did see weaknesses creeping into the system. So certainly we once more welcome this reintroduction to ensure that, yes, whilst it is common across the world that political parties deploy individuals into the state, we would want to make sure, and this Act does that appropriately skilled and qualified individuals are indeed appointed. For us, a positive development and will indeed see us having the right skill in our municipalities and people that are able to execute the responsibilities that are given to us, to them.
So for the longest of time, the Auditor General's Office has decried the fact that the lack of professionalism in the municipalities, and you're saying now this will introduce that. What sort of impacts can we see coming out of this?
Well, I think it's a starting point. It's something that has been long in the making. It is not the solution to everything. It's going to take time. We are unfortunately at that stage within many of our municipalities where senior managers' contracts are coming to an end, and municipalities are embarking on a process to recruit new senior managers. With the coming of this legislation, we are hoping the President will pronounce and the implementation date soon. It will indeed assist in ensuring that the next team of senior managers that will come into local government will indeed, as I said earlier, be appropriately skilled, qualified. Due processes would be followed through their appointment, and that downstream we will indeed see improvements across our municipalities, and improvements that are linked to the issues that are raised by the Auditor General. And that starts with having the right people in the team leading our municipalities, but as the AG also says, have the right people at the till, so have people that are appropriately qualified, skilled to manage municipal resources. So downstream, likely to see improvements in the system that will then consequently result in improvements in municipalities being able to execute their constitutional mandate. So again, quite positive, but time will tell, and perhaps another reflection must be made in a year or two to see what advancements have been made.
Absolutely, and we will be watching. Lance Jewell, thank you so much for your time this morning. Lance Jewell is the acting CEO at the South African Local Government Association.